call meeting to order. Board Member Sarl. Here. Excuse me, Board Member Spencer.
Here.
Board Member Smith is present. Board Member Evans. Here. And Board Member Manis is not with us today. Hearing officer report of public hearing of district facility plan.
Okay. Just want to let you know we're finalizing the district facilities plan. This is the last part of this process. We had two people show up at the final hearing, and that was your two board members, Mr. Sarl and Mrs. Manis. And this is just the final completion of the district facilities plan. So you just need to approve it, and we'll send the minutes on, and it will be on the state board agenda in June.
Good. Somebody got all completed. I move that we recommend Commissioner approve hearing officer report of public hearing of district facility plan. Either one. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Boundary agreement.
Okay. Of course, we've worked with the sale of the old block school. When you start looking at the deeds and so forth, it's kind of hard to determine where the actual original property lines were. So after consulting with, board attorney and attorneys, with the adjacent property owner, we have to then open that up if you don't mind, Jeff. First one. Actually go to the third one.
And it'll say the plat map.
So it's a plat
Look
map.
at. That's the one I looked at. I figured that's what you wanted.
It might have gone into the spring, but I know it didn't run through summer. But it was in the middle of it. It was quick.
There you go.
Okay. We've just reached an agreement with Henry Joe Watts, and he's the adjacent property owner. And what it amounts to is the line will just be the woven wire fence in behind the old Watts school, down to there's a metal pipe down to 460. And it's just give or take just a few. I mean, this is legal, and this is, we've researched it, we've got case studies, case law, and Attorney General's opinion, so, so as long as he agreed to sign, and we do have a signed copy by him that's been notarized, and, but that will actually be the plat on that piece of property. And it's all went through, it's been researched by the attorney's office, so everything is good to proceed, so we just need an agreement to approve the boundary agreement. And then we will need to get you to sign it tonight. You'll need to notarize it, and then I'll meet with Mr. Botts and get the final. She needs to sign it in two places, Jess. She needs to sign, you need to sign this one if you agree.
The plat map.
Yes, and then the other, the actual boundary agreement.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the boundary agreement.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. Old Bot School building sale.
Of course, we had the sale of the old Watts school on April 1st. There was a reserve set on it at 45. I would look at you doing, we received a bid of 35,000. That does meet the fair market value of what the appraisal originally was. So it would be my recommendation to proceed with the sale of selling that property pending KD approval to the Watts Christian Church. And the sale of, the reported sale is listed there. The group have paid their 10% deposit. And so once we finalize this and KD goes ahead and gives us permission, then we'll finalize the sale with the Watts Church.
I'll make a motion to approve Old Watts School building sale pending KDE approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. KSBA training. Ms. Crowley.
Thank you. Good to be back with you all again. I'm not going to have much to do with the training tonight, except just to introduce your trainers for the evening. You will receive training credit for this. I'll pass around the sign-in sheet a little bit later. But at this time, the reason that we have the Floyd County District here is because they have been under state management. And they talked to the Breathitt County people, and some of the board members said it was one of the best training opportunities that they had under state management. So I wanted you all to also have this opportunity to talk with them because they know exactly how you feel. They've been there. They know what you're going through, and you all may have some questions for them about how you proceed from here, from this point, and just get some general feedback from them. I have given you the yellow sheet there. That was just some talking points. You can use it or not use it. Feel free to ask any question that you want. Anything that you'd like to know about a school district being in state management, they can probably answer it. So this time I'd like to turn it over to Board Chair Sherry Robinson and Superintendent Henry Miller. They're from Floyd County. You all want to just come to the table, sit around the table. We'll have this as relaxed as possible.
Sorry.
You're fine.
I'm sorry.
And I'll just sit here till you comes in and just stay there.
Good evening. How are you all? Good. From my perspective, this is really informal. We want to tell you a little bit about our district, where we were, where we are today, and really answer any questions you may have and have conversation, just frank, open conversation. And I'll just really give you a brief overview of our district, because I know if you're like us, you pretty much worry about your own district, trying to move them, but we have about 6,000 kids. We're the 20th largest district in the state. We have about 76% free and reduced lunch, district-wide. We have about 20% special needs students. And for literally decades, the state was in and out of our district. And in 1999, we went into the red financially. Well, as you know, when they come in over finances, the state go everywhere. And we stayed in state management until 2005. We came out. And our district was called a ship without a rudder. As a matter of fact, I keep an article in my desk drawer. The headline was Floyd County Schools, a ship without a rudder. And I review it frequently because I never want us to go back there. Our kids deserve better. But I'm happy to tell you today, in 2005, when the state left, we were 145th in the state of Kentucky on state assessment. Today we're 6th.
That's awesome.
So we've moved that far. And we're the only district in the state of Kentucky that's been a district of distinction for 3 consecutive years. So I only share that to say there's hope. So even though you're going through a tough time, we went through it.
It's very possible.
It's very, very possible to get it turned around. And most would argue, even though it's been 12 years since the state went out, it's still fairly quick for turning, because we're 6,000 kids, 1,000 employees, so we've turned it fairly quickly. But with that being said, I will let Sherry talk to you a little bit about a board member's perspective, because she was on the board when the state actually exited, and then we'll talk to you a little bit about how we met what the state wanted us to meet to get out of state management, and then we'll talk a little bit about some things we put in place to move forward, and then answer any questions you have. Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
All right.
I think from a board perspective, one of the first things that we saw that we needed to do, we needed to create goals that the county had to meet. And we started meeting those goals. We put into place, we started looking at attendance for one thing for our children, because we were the bottom in the state for attendance. We weren't attending from the bottom, we were the bottom. So one of the things where we discussed was kids can't learn if they're not in school. So we started doing an attendance campaign. And we had to get all 16 schools, we have 16 schools in the district, in order to buy in with that, you know. So it had to be just not us saying we wanted it done and we set a goal of a certain percentage. We had to show the principals and the teachers and the students that we were committed to this, that we wanted this done. So once we set that goal, we actually had a policy put in place that if a school had under 90% attendance for that month, their principal had to come to the school board meeting and sit in front of us and explain to us why their attendance was low and what they were doing in order to raise it. Every day, even to this day, and this is 12 years later, we get a daily email from Henry that tells us every school's attendance for that day.
We do as well.
Good. And so once we started looking at that and the teachers and the students started seeing that we were paying attention to that, that we knew that, and they actually had to come and explain to us what was going on and why, our attendance started raising. Our district officers started doing better with the truancies. The schools started making more phone calls to the kids and to the parents. That first year, one of the schools, actually in my district, had their highest test score jump in the state. So Governor Fletcher, how about to do the story? Governor Fletcher came to the school because he wanted to tour it and see what was going on. And when I started talking to him about our goal that we had set, oh, I was so mad. He turned around and looked at me and told me not to get my hopes up because it was a cultural thing. So, yeah.
A cultural thing.
It was a cultural thing. So 4 years later, I think we met our goal. What year was it we met our goal? Was 2011?
I can't remember.
But it took us a couple of years, but we met the goal of 95% attendance for the entire district. And yeah, and if he had still been in office, I probably would have drove to Frankfurt and walked in and told him, you know, how a cultural thing even changed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that was one of the things that I think was most important, was setting the goals. We also set goals for, our test scores, that we wanted to be, at least a top 50 district. Then once we met that top 50 district, then as a board, we set a goal, okay, we want to be a top 25 district. And then once we met that goal, we kept raising the bar. We had to show at our board meetings that we had high expectations and that we expected those expectations to be met. That it started with us, and once we started showing that this is what we wanted, we had reports sent to us. We would ask to see reports. We wanted to see what was being done in the district. And once I think people started seeing that we wanted change and we expected change, then it really started occurring. But we really needed somebody to guide the ship in the right direction also. He is a vital importance to making sure that everything is guided in the right direction. We do really well at approving the things that the district needs, but we have him instructing us also at what needs to be improved and what needs to be done, because he's the one that's out there and sees it every day too.
So just to add to that, you all had a state manager audit, right?
Yes.
So, and you got a big thick report.
Yes. Unfortunately, it was big.
No, we get it.
I know.
Yeah, and ours was very thick too. And one of the things so moving to being state managed to moving out of state management, one of the things our board did at that time was directed the superintendent. At that time, our board had a superintendent and a state manager. Matter of fact, we had multiple state managers, and I was my secretary's 17th superintendent. So we went through multiple superintendents in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But what the board directed the superintendents to do was to develop a plan to address every individual item in that management audit, to kind of like a strategic plan / your district improvement plan. And they went to work. And I wasn't at central office at the time, but everything in that management audit was addressed. And when everything in that management audit was addressed to what the board considered to be a sufficient level, and Sherry was on the board at that time, they went to the state board and said, okay, we've done all you asked us to do. We're asking you to let us take our district back over. State board agreed. And from there, lots of changes were made, and I know you're all going through some changes. When I drove through, it's the first time I've ever been here, and I'm happy to be here. Your little city here could be exactly like where we're at. No different. I mean, it's just like being home.
Just like the little town we grew up in.
Absolutely. So, to see where you are and know where you can go is I know it's tough at times now, and it's not easy now for us, but to see where you can go is really exciting for me, because I know we've done it. So just to share with you a few things we done, to add to what she said, I'm gonna brag on our board, because I've been superintendent now 9 years. And our board, not only did they set expectations, they modeled what was expected from the district level. They worked cohesively, not always agreeing,
Well, that's not the point.
But-
Exactly.
but working as a team. But the one thing they always do, every meeting, every time we have any discussions in public, if we have trainings and they're there, they're like you, they're seen everywhere. If it's best for kids, that's what they do. Whether it's popular, not popular. You all know it's very tough. But we're literally going from 16 schools to 11 next year in our school district.
Consolidating.
And we're building new facilities, we'll have no kid going through a Category 5 school in our district. Just lots of things happen facility-wise. Board never hesitated. Nickel tax, board never hesitated. Courageous decisions. We're closing the school she went to, graduated from. She never hesitated.
My father was principal.
Principal,
Oh, wow.
From the time that it opened to the time that I graduated.
Oh, wow.
And I had to make the decision to close it.
never hesitated. So while our board deals with constituents, and that's difficult, you know that. I'm so proud of them because they've been courageous leaders, unified when it's best for kids. Now, if it's not best for kids, don't bring it to them, I can tell you right now. So, setting goals, having expectations from me and our team to keep them informed on how we're doing towards those goals. The first thing we done was set a goal to be a top 50 school district. We were 145th. Can you imagine what the eyes rolling?
Mm-hmm.
And we met that.
It's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
And
Roll eyes.
Yes. And it is a cultural thing. This morning at a leadership team meeting, I accept no excuses. I mean, my mother and father, and I tell our people, dropped out of high school. I know what it's like not to have family support at home. We don't allow that to be an excuse. I'm sure you have many kids like that in your district.
Oh, yeah, sure.
We have lots like that in our district. Just this morning, I corrected a principal in a meeting saying, that's not how we do business here in 2017. We don't make excuses. Kids come to us the way they are, we change their lives. So culturally, our board's sticking with that mentality over a period of 15, 16 years now. Culturally, all those little things have changed. So when Sherry tells you that they ask principals to come sit before them, it wasn't to berate them.
No.
It was to say, we've got expectations. Our kids deserve better.
And what's happening? Is there something that we can do to help you all?
And that was good
was
support.
another
That was
thing.
the point of
Yeah,
it.
that was the whole point of it. Is there something that we're not doing that you need us to do that we can do better? How you tell us what you need.
So what kind of things have they come to you and asked? Like, as a board to change so that they could do things better?
Oh, wow. Most of the time, they said that we were doing really good support. I mean, it was us changing our expectations to letting them know we needed them to do more. Because if we would say, hey, what do you need from us? Most of the time it was, well, nothing. And it was like, okay, then what's the problem? You know, then if you don't need us to do anything else, then what is it that you can do to change things? So I think schools started making more phone calls. Once they saw that we were asking questions and really wanted to know why, they stepped it up and started doing more. So then once the principals and the administration of the school stepped it up and started doing more, it kind of like filtered down. Then the teachers saw it, and the teachers were like, hey, the principals are doing this, they're having to go to the board, and the board's expecting this. So they kind of stepped it up, and then once they kind of stepped it up, the kids kind of got the idea, you know, hey, you know, so it was like a snowball effect. It had to start with us, and then it went downhill to where everybody finally was like on board. And when I say we did a campaign, we did banners. We did vinyl banners. We did, you know, some that said no excuses, you know, go to school. You know, there was banners hung up almost in all of the schools. On the first day of school, we started doing the bus thing where the district of instructors and the superintendent and some board members, I had to work so I don't get to do it on the first day of school, but they would go around to the schools to show kids, you know, that we were glad that they were there. You know, we want a good year. We want you know, you have our support, you know. So mainly, I think just showing them that we were there for their support was really what they wanted and what they needed.
And they always ask for money.
Oh, yeah, that's number one.
So,
for sure.
when Sherry tells you that they don't need much, you know, I could spend all night telling you things we do in our district, but I won't. But I will tell you some big things. We're really big on systems thinking. In other words, one of the first things in our board, you know, said, why is this school doing really good and this school not doing so good? Or why is this department not doing real good? So we started making sure, and we reported to the board, all of our best practices across our district is shared. Now, you're a smaller district, so, but even as our size, I personally took high school principals to Adlai Stevenson, Chicago. We've been to Oldham County. We took our people out to see best practices everywhere. All right, and then in our district, we put systems in place to where even today, this year we probably had, we've got 400 certified employees. I'm going to say 300 of them has been in each other's schools. We were doing PGS way before PGS came into effect. We go in, teachers observe other teachers and give feedback on a regular basis, all over our district. Each other's school, same school, principals, same thing, all over our district. And that's systemic. And the reason we do that, we believe strongly the only way to move forward is to grow your people. And I know you're like us. When I became superintendent, we have a principal's vacancy, we'd have 1 or 2 applicants.
Oh, yeah.
We have assistant principal's vacancy, we may have 1 or 2 applicants. Today, I can tell you we got 20 or 30. And it's because we put a system in place where we grow our own leaders. We tag our best people, we put them through interviews, we observe their teaching, and then our board agrees to help pay for their work within our, what we call Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Program, which is CIA, sorry for the acronym. But we literally have a track for National Board Certified Teachers, for accomplished teachers, and for teachers who want to be principals. Today, we've had about 80 people go through that, and we've hired 10 of them. So we're growing our own and been doing it for 9 years. So when we have a vacancy now, we'll have 20 people apply that we know that's been our best teachers in our school district, let alone people from outside.
See, we're helping them. They
Yeah.
see that we want them to grow. We want them to get, you know, as much PD and education as they can. And
So you offer
certifications and-
extra PD and do you offer to pay for some of the certifications? Is that how that works?
Yeah, the board, and once again, we've got all this laid out
Oh, I'm
systemically.
sure.
And programs, I mean, we're getting ready to start our next big round of national board. I mean, like our board agrees to pay for 2 release days a year. Our board agrees to pay stipends towards them getting their MBCT. Our board, not the funding after they get it,
Yeah.
the work towards getting
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Our board agrees to pay for part of the classes for the administration. In other words, we get that the only way, you gotta have strong leadership.
Absolutely.
You know, one of your most important things you're gonna do is select a superintendent sometime. And when you do, you gotta get somebody that's gonna move your district instruction.
Absolutely.
And that's innovative. That means, you know, you've got to really think about questions to figure out if they're innovative. Because one of the things that Henry has done, he thinks outside the box. Like we started the Early College Academy, and I don't know if you know what that is, but it's our top students. They apply for juniors and seniors, and they get to apply, and they actually go to our community college their junior and senior year. They don't go to their high school, they go to their community college, and they're part of a curriculum there, they're actually part of that school. And when they graduate with an associate's degree on top of their high school diploma. We pay for their transportation, we pay for their lunches, we pay for their laptop, we pay for their school, we pay for their books, we pay for everything for them to go to school there. And that was made possible because of his thinking, so you have to get a superintendent that's gonna think outside of the box and that's innovative and be able to move your district in a direction that is the 21st century.
Mm-hmm. And that's the future, is kids getting college education in high school. That's just.
Well, we've had
amazing.
40 kids graduate now with associate's degrees. We'll have 20 more here in about 10 days, 15. So we'll have 60 now in 4 years.
Wow.
From a district that the state took over because of finances,
To be able to pay for those
be able
things.
well,
to-
and
Money, yeah.
until next year we will have about 3,500 laptops in our district. We will be 1-to-1, 5th grade through 12th grade.
That's awesome.
So 99, we were taking over finances, 2017, and we all know how hard it's been financially, everybody's getting cut
Oh, yeah, you
everywhere.
went through a lot of, in 2008, 10.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we went
Yes.
through all that.
Yeah.
But we've still managed to do one-to-one in our district. Once again, we got a courageous board. We come up with some really unique ways of funding. So our board says, make it happen for kids. And we bring them a plan. If it works and they think it's best for kids, they approve it. So I only share that once again to say, even we're financially strapped. I mean, we're as poor as anybody. You know, community-wide, we don't get a lot of money from community businesses. We don't have a lot of business. But our school board has made it a priority to make sure kids have those opportunities. But if I could tell you anything, it's the focus on leadership, our board team leadership development. We have a team. We call ourselves Team Floyd, and it starts with our board. Our board is a great team. Our leadership team at our office is great. Our principals are great. And if you got good leadership in place, all of that changes culture. And over time, what we do changes culture. We still have naysayers. We still have people who believe that kids can't. But for the most part, I was telling Sherry coming down, 90% I can safely say of our people will run through that wall for kids.
That's good.
And that's the biggest, that's the biggie. You've got to have those people in place, those kind of individuals and those people in place in order to make it happen.
But as she said, we accepted no excuses. One of the things I was reading a little article there where they quoted me in the paper years ago. I like to say early on, you know, you got 30 seconds to get up on the table and fuss, and then we're moving on. Because unless you can argue, show us that it's not good for kids, we're not backing off this expectation.
Yeah.
So over time, it's just changed our culture. And I'll give you one example of that. I was telling her coming down, we're opening a new high school. We're combining two high schools. And we're offering 12 AP classes and 12 dual credit classes in this high school. We send out emails asking teachers to go to training this summer to get AP certified. That's a week of their time, right? We send emails to 10 people, and we got 10 out of 10 back within an hour saying, I can't wait for that opportunity. So that's the kind of, I didn't know what to expect. I kind of thought some of them said, I'm not giving that to my summer up for that.
Yeah, well,
But
I don't understand.
And they're not
Yeah.
getting paid for
Yeah.
it, you know, we're paying for the
training.
The training, but
But
we're not
not-
paying them to go to the training. So, you know, for a lot of people to do it for free, that's big.
So, but with all that being said, where we are, once again, you gotta remember, 1999 they came in, we worked through all the management audit, all of the things state said we were negligent in or deficient in, and our board worked to make sure all those things were addressed, and then we're talking 2005 to today. So, you know, it's hard to turn a ship in a year. I would argue that you're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
But I think what Sherry said about having goals and expectations and, you know, getting somebody that's innovative and creative thinking and wants to take you where you all want to go is huge for you right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And of course, I know your state manager well, and he's a dandy. Just my personal opinion, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sitting here, just some of the things that they did. I copied their, I give Henry credit for it all. We copied their early college in Breathitt. And we actually had 15 kids, and I don't know if they're still continuing there or not, but it's a wonderful program.
Well, we've all got those kids that's in your school today that if we just get out of the way, they go ahead and do the work and graduate.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that's a whole other topic. We're actually starting that in our district through another program. I don't know if you're familiar with Summit, Tim, we can talk about it sometime, but we're doing that too, where kids can actually progress at their own pace. But you got those kids that's bored,
Oh, yeah.
and they're ready to go to college. And,
Senior year is just,
yeah,
you know, nothing.
It's a
Yeah.
waste, it's a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you wouldn't believe the goodwill from our community over this.
Yeah.
Because all these people are not paying college tuition,
Oh, yeah.
and more
2 years
importantly,
free.
yeah,
Yeah.
2 years totally free. What parent don't want that?
Mhm,
You know,
absolutely.
and we've started to where at the middle school level, the guidance counselors, the principals, and the assistant principals at the middle school level is talking to the kids about the early college program. If you want to do this, then you need to do X, Y, Z
To get to that
before
point.
you get in your freshman and sophomore year.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of the middle schools that are offering, you know, like the Algebra 1, the Algebra 2 classes, stuff that has to be done before their sophomore years and their freshman years in order to even apply and get in. So we have kids that are now taking their ACT their freshman and sophomore years because you have to have a certain ACT in order to get into the early college academy.
Gotcha.
So they're actually starting to prep and get ready in 8th grade in order to do these things. So just by doing that, it is filtered all the way down, to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade for kids starting to think about,
When I went to high school, we had that, there was we called it the fast track. I don't really know if that was technically the term, that's what the kids called it, but there was the prep kids, is what we called them too, and they're the ones that were, top of the class. And starting in 6th grade, we had Algebra 1. 7th grade, we had Algebra 2.
Yeah.
In 8th grade, we had Geometry. I had it all, I had AP Calculus as a senior.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we had all of those. We had honors English where we studied different types. We did conjugate verbs. We wrote stories and poems and, did intense book reports and movie reviews and all that kind of stuff. But we were on a college track.
Right.
That this was the group that was bound to determine that they were going to go to college, and we did the ACTs and it's a middle schooler and all those kind of things. And that's one of the things we've discussed here is we don't really have that set in place yet. And that's something that I think we desperately need to look at. Because not every kid's going to go to college, and that's great.
Right.
But we need a trade school section, we need a college section, we need a workforce section. We need to let the kids tell us where they need to be and then set plans for them.
Through college and career readiness, don't they set those pathways in K through 5 to where that, so that
But we're
gets
not,
them started.
I wish we could get to them a little bit earlier. Middle school kind of really focus it there and not wait till their freshman year
Right.
to really focus it. I'd like to boil it down a
Yeah.
few grades.
What our
Right.
goal is, of course, is we want those kids to be taking those high school courses, and we're in a good opportunity, our high school and our middle school are within, this door here to the back door of the building over here. So it's a good opportunity to start, so we're starting to guide in that direction. We got a lot of work in our curriculum
Oh,
and
absolutely.
things to get us.
Well, and please know that not all of our top kids go to this program. The requirement of the ACT is just meeting benchmarks. So we have a lot of kids meet benchmarks, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
But like, we got a kid just recently, 2 days ago, I found out he got a 34 on the ACT.
Awesome.
And
He's not in the early college.
he's not in an early college program. It's
Because
not
he didn't
for,
want to.
it's not for every kid.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not.
So it's not just our top 40 kids in our school district, but what it done, once again, it's not just for those kids, it raised expectations all across our district. Right now, we're tackling reading across our district, kids reading on grade level. I'm sure you have a problem with it, most people do. That's one we're tackling right now. But we keep systemically addressing needs of kids. And, one of our schools we're closing, we're going to expand our vocational school. And those pathways are important, hugely important. In our area, kids who get plumbing certifications are going to get a job faster than, a lot of other kids.
Absolutely.
Then an engineer would.
Oh,
Yeah, so all those things are very important. But the 2 things I would try to stress to you is the board was always supportive and courageous if it was good for kids. And it can be done.
And that's
If
our
you will it to be done.
And that's our number one thing that we always ask is how is it going to affect the children? How is it going to affect the kids? Is it going to make things better for them? Or is it going to make things worse? And that's what we always look at first. If it's going to make things better and it's going to move things in a better direction, then we all are usually on board and we go for it.
And to kind of give you some dynamics of the board, you have 3 members. Ms. Evans started January 1, you started January 1. You've been with us now a year, and then you've been on it for
3, this, this makes
3, and then you've been on it for 7 years.
So
Wow.
we're a
So
young
we're a young board.
We are a young board, yes.
We have 2 board members that were on, I guess, when you went into state management.
Yeah.
I believe.
And then everybody else voted in since then.
Yes.
See, that was me. I was voted in while we were under state management. So I was there kind of like right at the tail end of it until we got to go out of it. So at the beginning of everything, I wasn't a part of it, but I was a part of the end of getting out from underneath of it and then how to grow from there. So it's been a wonderful 12 years though. We have done nothing but move upward in the right direction.
And the one good thing about state management, they're going to put processes in place, such as allocation systems, financial things, where you don't really have to worry about that, because they're going to get you out of red.
Oh,
They're going to put you,
That's
and they have, but they're going to put you on a good path financially. But when you select a superintendent, make sure you get somebody that can speak to you about efficiency. and can speak to you about utilizing different funds to continue to get the will of the board, things for kids, while still being efficient, right? You gotta do both. You can't go out and do a one-to-one program and put your board in the red for the state come back in. So, all those are questions you need to think about when you're selecting a new leader. Once again, that's gonna be your most important decision,
Oh, absolutely.
whenever that is.
Yeah.
So what else would you like to know or hear, or what questions do you have?
I was, I have one, when you all did the nickel tax, did you have a big backlash from the public? Because we've not really heard a whole lot from ours, and, well, I mean, there was some on the start of it, because we had to go to a vote, obviously, so we had some backlash there, but after it passed, I mean, the community's kind of been overwhelmingly positive about everything, so I'm just curious if that was yours was very supportive as well.
We didn't have a vote.
You didn't even have to have a vote, okay?
We didn't even have a petition. I mean, we didn't even have anybody speak publicly against it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, we did, but I've just been surprised that we've had that, and I commend you for doing the same thing, because it is a difficult decision.
It is very
to
difficult
stand in
decision.
front of everybody and say, I'm raising your taxes,
Yes.
so it's a hard
The
decision.
maximum amount that we can.
Exactly, exactly.
That's the thing,
It's-
the
it's-
maximum amount that we possibly can.
It's a very tough decision, but like you said, we did it because that's what our kids need. We need a new school, and that's the only way we're gonna get it. If there'd been another way, we would've took that avenue before we taxed our taxpayers, but this was it, and we took it.
And the one
And
thing that I
we're
like to
moving
tell
forward.
my constituents is when they come to me and they talk about, because the high school that we're building, it's a $50 million facility.
Oh my
It is
goodness.
huge. So one of the things that, and I've had people come to me and say, how can y'all spend that much money? How can you all just build a $50 million school,
Mhm.
And I tell them, I feel like the children in Floyd County deserve everything and more that Lexington Louisville has.
Absolutely.
And that is my job, to make sure that we have the best facility, the best opportunities that we can give them.
Mhm.
And nowadays, yes, that's gonna cost $50 million in order to provide that. And that doesn't just mean the football team's gonna get this. It means that every student, whether it's junior ROTC, whether it's the archery, whether it's the softball team,
Band, whoever.
the band,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. Every student that will go to that school will have the best that the 21st century has to offer.
Mhm.
And that's my job, to make sure that they have that.
And one of the things we've stressed, we're chasing excellence, and we know that's kind of hard to obtain, but everything we do, we strive to do it with excellence, whether it's this new building, or whether it's a new program we're implementing, or whether it's just asking teachers to teach with excellence, which we monitor and give a lot of feedback. I mean, we have, we require 10 walkthroughs a week by every administrator.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, and we monitor the feedback they give teachers, and we reward them in our district meetings for giving great feedback. I mean, we really have a lot. In our district, one of the greatest things we've done is we call our plan of excellence. Every school gets support from our office, but it's just like the RTI model for kids, if you're familiar with that. If this school's not doing very good, they get a lot more support from our office. And if, when we first started, we had 9 schools below proficiency. Now we have all 18 schools, because they break middle and elementary apart, we have all 18 schools proficient or higher. 15 of our schools were schools of distinction, and only 3 proficient. So, but I only share that to say that this model has really brought that on. We go out systemically, teachers and leaders go into schools and give feedback to teachers, give feedback to principals. So we're constantly giving feedback on expectations for instruction in our school district. And that really has changed the culture tremendously.
Well, it sounds like you're, by changing the curriculum and the way that you do things, you've kind of improved everything.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's kind of snowballed, as you said,
Yeah.
and kind of affected everything, your culture and your mindset of your kids and your teachers, they're probably, sounds like happier to come to work and to kind of give 110%.
And talking about that, we decided that when we started looking at attendance also, that we needed to look at attendance for employees. So we also get that on our daily email of attendance of employees. So we started rewarding those employees that if they, say, don't miss a day for the whole month, then that's one time that their name gets put in a drawing. So there's 9 months of school, 8, 9 months of school. So that's 9 times their name put in a drawing at the beginning of school next year that we give money away.
Oh, okay.
We give $1,000 check.
The green stuff, yeah.
We give 4 of them.
Oh,
We give them
wow.
to certified and to classified, but we give them a check. That if their name is drawn out of that box and it's their name, they get that check. Plus they get, was it vacation time?
If they have perfect attendance for the year, they get an extra sick day.
Sick day added to their,
To the following year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
so
because-
that's a reward.
Yeah.
So if kids aren't in school, they can't learn. If staff, you may not have a problem with staff attendance, but
We do.
we give staff 13 days, they're gonna take 13 days, a lot of them.
Yes.
So, and the data shows that it's helped some.
Mhm.
We've had a lot of turnover like everybody, but it does help. People want those extra sick days and they wanna be drawn out for that 4,000. It's $1,000 check over the day. And by the way, I do have that approved from the state, so, you know, in case you're wondering, we can do that.
Yeah.
I'm just
Because you
thinking,
can't
maybe
take
we
their
can
days
do
away,
something
because like you said,
that
you
way.
give them 13 days, they're gonna take 13 days.
Yeah.
And you can't take that away
No.
because so we found a way that we needed to get them there, so we reward them by being there. We
The
give
best
them a
way to
chance.
reward a teacher
Is by
moolah.
giving them money, that's right.
Let's
Yeah.
be honest,
That's
a
right.
pat on the back is okay, but the moolah is.
And our opening day, we do a really big,
It motivates me.
yeah, so we do a really big opening day. Do you know what the Mountain Art Center is?
Mhm.
Okay, we host in the Mountain Art Center every employee, every teacher, every classified, every certified. We have a speaker that comes that we pay them to talk, and then after that, we're up on stage, we talk. We give awards away, we give plaques to people who have retired the previous year, we give them plaques. So it's something that the district does as a whole, that they see us, they see Henry, they actually, some schools will put on skits, they perform and do things, so it's not only considered a PD day because we have the person who talk and lecture, but it's a day where the whole district gets to be one team. And I think one of the things that I saw 12 years ago when I came on board is we weren't Team Floyd then. You know, you all only have, you know, a small school, but you need to get everybody to buy into that. Even though you have an elementary, a middle, and a high school, everybody is still just one team. Everybody needs to work together. Our schools would actually like be against each other. You know, like Johnny M would be against May Valley, or you know, Allen would be against Betsy Lane. Instead of their teachers understanding that we need to pull together and be one unit, which is now, I mean, it's amazing now to hear people say how we're Team Floyd. Team Floyd is one thing. It's not just one school is up here and one school is up here. Everybody is one collective unit now.
And if you came to opening day, and I'd invite you to do it, you would be blown away. You go to the regional basketball tournament, you see how kids and people act. That's the way our staff is on opening day. Cheers, chanting. You'd be blown away. I mean, every time I get goosebumps every time I see it. The other thing we really done, and I know you probably do this, but we really try to celebrate what's expected.
Achievements.
So if we set goals, all over our central office is banners. But one of the things we started a few years ago that's really changed culture is when we get our state assessment scores released, we have what we call a big community event. We have red carpet, we have kids and staff marching banners down. So if you're a proficient district, we bring you up on stage, we recognize you. We'll average 2,000 people at this event.
Oh, wow.
Kids and adults, community members.
The first year that we did it, the attendance was so great that buses couldn't get to the high school gym because traffic was backed up in Prestonsburg so bad it was backed all the way up to Walmart that we had to postpone to get the kids and the buses in because it was such a big event.
Yeah.
That, I mean, that's how
Wow.
much community support that we had. It was amazing.
So the reason I share that is whether we're recognizing principals today for the year who done the walkthroughs, the number of walkthroughs, and not only that, give the best feedback for the year, or if we have an event of 2,000 people recognizing schools, and by the way, one of the principals said, I made up my mind that first year, I would never sit there again and not be recognized in front of 2,000 people. And guess what? That school's been distinguished the last 3 years. And
Oh, wow.
so what you celebrate gets done, what you measure gets done, what you monitor gets done, what you have expectations for gets done. So as a board, you really have a lot of ability to work with your leader to set some really neat goals for kids and really move the district.
Yeah, but you have to show that you're paying attention.
Mhm.
That you just didn't set those goals and you forgot about everybody else. You see what I mean?
Oh,
You
yeah.
really have to bring them up in the meetings. You have to show that you're watching, you get reports, that you have to show that, you know, because it starts with you all. You have to show that you're there, you're interested and you're a part, you're a big part, and that you want everybody else to join your team and to be a part also.
What other questions do you have?
Did you catch much backlash from Consolidated School folks?
From some people, I have, and it was, you know, my words to them were, you know, it's the 21st century. You know, I was, our school, one of the schools that were closing that my dad was principal of, we were rebels, you know. And I told them I was a rebel through and through too. It's hard, you know, but in order to do what's best for the kids, in order to, you know, meet the goals that we have for them, this is what we found to be best, and this is what we have to do. And although I would love to see our school to continue and be there forever and ever and ever, but it can't be. It had to close, and we have to do what's best. And one of the high schools that were closing is in a very rural area. I don't know if you know about Floyd County, but South Floyd is really in a rural area, and there's not a lot of people moving into South Floyd. They're moving out of South Floyd. So the attendance of that school is really going down and dwindling down, and we had to look at what was best in the next 15, 20 years. If that progressed and continued to go down, you know, we...
How about attendance or enrollment?
Enrollment.
Yeah.
Enrollment, yeah, our attendance is really good right now, but the enrollment, if the enrollment just keeps
Right.
going down, you can't afford
To have another building.
to have another building there. So that building is going to be utilized, we're transforming it into a K through 8. So that building will be utilized, it's just no longer going to be a high school. So, you know, once you sit and explain things to people and tell them, you know, enrollment has gone from this when that school opened and now it's down to this, and actually both schools, because even Allen Central started out at over 600 students and now they're down to less than 400. So both schools, the enrollment has gone really, you know, down. We have other buildings that need to be closed due to, you know, the state coming in and assessing them and needing to be, you know, shut down. So once I sat down and explained the whole process to them and why it had to be done, then they seem to be okay with it. They seem to understand it a whole lot more, because a lot of people just think you're closing it just to be closing it and you don't have reasons, and, you know, they really don't understand.
Facts instead of gossip.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So when you sit down and actually explain the facts, it seems to work out a whole lot better.
And just to follow up, we have had nobody at board meetings, nobody, I mean, there's some individual conversation, but there's nobody,
Protesting.
there's
Yeah,
nobody been
nobody
obstructionist,
protesting.
nobody's been, so I've never had a complaint. Not one person's called me and said, I'm mad because we're closing our school.
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah.
You need to share some stories.
Yeah. So, but once again, it started with our facilities plan.
Yeah.
We had people on there.
5 years ago.
They knew this was coming. They knew we were gonna pass a nickel to do it. The board passed the nickel, so there wasn't a lot of surprise.
Yeah.
So we went through the steps,
Mhm.
and I'm just being honest. We got a lot of change in our pocket right now, if you know what I mean by that.
Mhm.
The district's doing really, really well. I believe if we'd have done this in 1999, they'd have crucified everybody in Floyd County.
Yeah, probably.
But the board also is building a $53 million facility, so it's kind of hard to argue when you look at the pictures of what your kids are going to have.
Oh,
So everybody that has showed any angst, I've been told, that's went and looked at the facility said, oh my God.
yeah. Mhm.
So if you do it in a way where people see what they're going to get, they believe in you because you've had success. We've had zero issues with kids. I mean, we've got kids together and doing unifying things throughout the year.
Kill that man.
You know,
Yeah.
kids meeting throughout the year. So once again, systemically, we approached it in a way to make sure we had a little as resistance as possible. We have more issue over getting rid of the rebel flag than consolidating schools, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
because
we've had more issues over there.
yeah, that was a little bit of angst, but
You guys set your goals. Did you set like
one goal, this is what we want you to focus on, or did you just throw out a whole bunch and say,
We
this
said
is
like 4 or 5.
Yeah, we got 5 today.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's top 5 school district, we're number 6. 96% attendance, which we struggle daily to try to get that. Well, 95, we've been 95 3 of the last 4 years, and for us, that's miraculous. Physically solid and efficient, that's non-negotiable more than a go, honestly.
Right.
95% college career readiness, and we've been 100 the last 3 years. So we generally set 4 or 5, the board does.
What are some of your incentives that you have for the children to encourage them to come to school and things like that? What do you?
One of the schools, for a couple of years, those kids who had perfect attendance for the entire year got a brand new bicycle. They went out into the county, into their community.
They still do that.
Yeah, they still do that. On top of that, though, they've added taking them to Kings Island now, or doing a field trip at the end of the school year. I think they took them to Kings Island one year. So each school does each individual thing different, you know, but they do rewards. They reward their kids, for attendance.
And they also, and I'm sure you all do this too, you have themes for testing and you measure good faith effort. Obviously you can't measure how they've done on the test, but just this morning, our principals share themes, we have them share everything. You know, our principals meetings, leadership team meetings, half of it is principals talking to each other. Here's what we're doing, what are you doing? Because you got to learn from each other, right? But just this morning, one of them's doing a carnival thing, and throughout the testing week, if kids don't get in trouble, if they come to school, if they do give good faith effort on the test, they get carnival tickets. And then after the testing window's over, they're going to have a carnival come to the gym, and the kids can spend their tickets. So all of those kinds of things build culture, right? And you were talking about culture earlier. I've always believed culture is what we do. It's not what we say or how we feel. So if you have these goals, you measure them, you have expectations, you give feedback, you celebrate success, it changes culture over time. But it takes time. Yeah, culture is not let's all get excited about doing better. We got to do better, experience success, and success breeds success. And that's what happened. We got a little taste of success here, then we spread that here, then we spread that here. Now in our district, I'm just being honest, our 3 proficient schools are sick at their stomach. Because they're not distinguished. In our district right now, proficient's not very good. So, I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest.
We're focusing no novice. That's one of our goals.
That was our major focus last year.
And that, see, you have to
Get
set
rid of
a
all
realistic
novice.
goal.
Yeah, something that we can reach. That's tough, but you can reach.
Absolutely.
Set a realistic goal, then when you meet it,
Move it.
then you move it up. Then when you meet it,